Okay, as long as I'm on a tool making video, I thought I'd show you a tool that I made up to bend my eyelets over. And it looks like this. Let's see if we can zoom in. It's just a piece of 1/8 inch piano wire, and it's ground on the end like that to flare over the brass eyelets that go through my hinges. Now, when I sell these hinges, and I've quit selling them, they're just way too much work for what I get out of them. I have to make them up. So you take a brass eyelet out. I had, when I had these laser cut, I had the holes put in them so that they're all 3/16 on center. And then got to get my vise here to have something to tap on. You take something hard and you put this upside down, and you stick the tool's small tang into the hole, and we're going to flare the other side. Almost. And then you tighten it up. So that's how, let me zoom in here. That's how I flare the ends in my hinges. So just another little tip and trick that you have to think about it when you're, because I was a mechanic, there's a lot of things that I think about that most don't. You just make things to do the job, and it's not really all that hard. So we'll see in a few after I get these hinge pins figured out. So be back in a minute. Well, I've got one of the pocket hinges installed, one side, and I wanted to show you why these hinges are so good. Watch the hinge gap right here. There is no gap. None. And that's what makes these hinges so nice. And smooth. They are super smooth. And as soon as I get the other one done, I'll go ahead and finish shaping this. We'll move on to, that's our major component for today. This is day 7. Wings complete, got the flaps done. The elevator's complete. I'll go ahead and cut the rudder today and get it sanded. And on day 8, we'll build the fuselage. And by day 14, we'll have the thing on its wheels. Too bad I don't have the money to go to VSC, because this would be a good airplane for VSC. Maybe get to set it next to the original, see how close I came. But things are rather tight with our illustrious leadership here in the country. No matter what they say, the economy is not doing well, in my opinion. You can tell just by looking around here. All the business is closed up. So now, like I told you, I wanted to get those pieces on to blend this all together. This is 220. To make it look like one piece. If I can't teach anybody anything, one thing that nobody can take away from me is how fast I can put them together with quality. It don't take long. You just have to work on it as if it's a job. And I don't know what's going on, but I think I might be becoming allergic to balsa dust. I'm starting to break out. That's why you'll see me with long sleeves on from time to time, because my arms are breaking out in a rash. I've never had that before, and it's just started happening. I hope it doesn't happen, because then I'd have to give up building an airplane. But I don't think that's going to happen, even if I am allergic to it. I'll wear gloves or long sleeves or whatever I got to do to continue to build, because I really love it. Basically gave up motorcycles to build model airplanes. Let's get a weight on this to see what it's gonna weigh. A little bit more needs to come off the leading edge on this side, but that won't be but a gram or two. I'll get a weight here. $46 grams, whatever that works out to. I'll figure it out here in a minute. That's not too bad for an elevator stabilizer, but it's I don't know, it's not near as big as a regulation PA airplane, but it's exactly the correct size for this airplane. So, alright, I'm going to cut the camera. I'll be back in the short with detailing, so see you in a few. Okay, today is the end of day 7. I have the wing done, the elevator stabilizer done, sanded and hinged. I have the flaps cut out. They still need to be shaped, and the horn needs to be bent. And I have the rudder cut out and shaped. I'm basically done for today. I'm kind of burnt out. So tomorrow we'll lay the fuselage out. I've got all the pieces. We're going to try the Jim Lynch crutch construction. I've never done that, but it looked real good when I was there. 10 grams. So the elevator stabilizer weighs 53 grams. Put the rudder on it, that's 64 for the rudder and the stabilizer. Let's see what the whole mess weighs so far. You could figure we're going to be about 7 ounces for a fuselage. Maybe we can get away with 6, but we'll say 7. The whole business so far, remember I'd like to keep this airplane under 50 ounces. Just don't want to cooperate. Let's see. I'll get this up here. 0. $423 grams for the total airplane so far, plus 7 ounces. So let's see what that is. 423. Plus 7 is 21 ounces. Well, we're going to be between 20 and 21 ounces for an entire airframe, and so that leaves us 30 ounces to cover and finish in the motor and tank, and I'm sure we can do that. So it's looking real good as far as weight. So anyway, I'm going to cut the camera. I don't think I'm going to post this up tonight. I'm just too tired. Come a long ways in 7 days. So I'll probably do tomorrow's fuselage build before I edit this and post it up. So we'll see we'll see you tomorrow. Till then, tight lines. This is day 8. I'm going to do an introductory video in hopes that we can get some more registers on Control Line Craftsman. I'll post this up on a stun hanger. I've been reading the magazine article from '71, and a lot of things that Tom states in the magazine I've stated in the past, so I'm just kind of, you know, reliving some of the things that Tom did. But I read here, and I hadn't seen this since '71, it says, do not sand on leading edge sheeting except with 400 because it will create dips in the sheeting. And I told you that on one of my other videos about do not sand the sheeting. Very important. Get you that starved horse look. While comparing the pictures to the plans, and me being there, and actually I was around when this model was new, I know that Tom used a 3/4 inch shaft extension, and you can see that here in the magazine article how long the nose is from the cowl brake. And let's see, right here. And on the plans, and I'm sure that it's no fault of anybody's, on the plans they show it real close, like a modern day stunt ship. And Tom also mentioned that the airplane was 43 inches long. This one's 40 inches long. Well, we're going to bring it back to what I remember the numbers were and how it was built. If you ever saw this airplane fly, or could have been just Tom, because Tom was an excellent pilot. This airplane was a real performer. So what I'm going to do is I have my prop extension. I'm going to leave the motor setting exactly where it shows on the plans, but we're going to have the 3/4 extension on it. And that'll lengthen the airplane up, except for the tail, which I've already cut the rudder out. And it's exactly to shape. And I have the stabilizer elevator. This weighs 1.6 ounces. The flaps are not sanded yet, but they're 17 grams each, so they'll be down to a ½ ounce each. And the wing's complete. So on day 8 we're going into building the fuselage, and I should have that completed today. I'm going to be doing a video, and I'll probably make it a dedicated video on making a mold buck for this top piece. And it says here, 1/8 inch sheet molded top block. Well, I don't have a buck for that made up, so I'm going to make the buck up, and I'm going to show you how I do that. And then we'll mold those top pieces, and the bottom is a ½ inch sheet hollowed, so I have that up there, so that's not a problem. But the next thing we're going to do, as far as updating construction, is that this is calling for 16th inch plywood in the nose. Well, I'm going to use the late model, the current way of doing things with the balsa doublers with carbon fiber sandwiched in between the two. I'm also going to change the shape of the cowl because I don't like, well, I'm not sure. I want to keep this as close to original as possible, but I don't think Tom was thinking when he put that angled cowl down all the way like that. I'd rather do it like I did my Monado, where it angles down and then comes back straight. Gives you a little more area for tank room and a little bit better mounting. But we could do it the old way, I suppose. Anyway, these are the type of things you're going to see in Control Line Craftsman. How to build a classic model, keeping it classic while updating some of the construction. I don't think that much matters, but the wing came out real nice. The elevator stabilizer come out real nice. The fits are going to be real good. I want to talk about the ends. We're going to laminate 64th plywood on both those ends so they have a real nice clean joint there. So if you have any suggestions for Control Line Craftsman, or any articles you'd like to write, we're going to be doing a finishing complete on this, and when I say complete, I'll probably show each coat, how I do each coat. So I know some people have a problem with finishing, and I can finish them very quickly, and they're very, very attractive. So I'll show you how I do that, so you don't have to spend months finishing a model. So that's basically all I got for the intro here. I'm going to cut this, I'm going to get to work, and I'm going to lay out the fuselage for Control Line Craftsman. And I suggest that you watch it if you want to learn how to build a better model. You know, it's as cheap as a magazine subscription, but you get to watch videos, you get to see articles, and with John Miller coming on board, you're going to be able to download some plans. And Paul Taylor's going to write an article for us, and Fred Cornwett with the scale. So there's a lot of exciting things to come. This is just getting off the ground, but I suggest you get in while it's early and support Control Line Craftsman. And we'll see you. We'll see you there. So till then, tight lines. Well, today I did the introductory video, but I'm laying out the fuselage today, day 8, and I have it laid out on one piece of wood here. And what I'm doing here is a long sanding block. It's a, I don't know, 30-inch sanding block. I'm going to true up the edges, and we're going to glue the two 1/8-inch pieces together so that they're identical. I don't normally use 1/8-inch fuselage size, but because this airplane has so much shape to it, you need the 1/8-inch to sand it round. So we're going to use the 1/8-inch. So the first thing is, put them together, make sure they mate good, and they do. Take your time. I see what's up. We'll chew that off with a square. Make sure to get the top line lining up because that's the datum line. Just take some CA, glue them together on the bottom. You're going to cut the bottom piece away anyway. About 4 spots. Yeah, every 6 inches or so it can't move. Now I've laid the exhaust side up first because the exhaust side has an extra notch, and we need to keep that notch on the exhaust side. But when I separate the two, I'll cut it away for the other side, if that makes sense, and it'll probably make sense as I show. The next thing we're going to do is this post. The tail post was not quite square, so I take a square. This was my great-grandfather's square. I come from a line of shipbuilders. My family built wooden boats, Norsemen. And I had a lot of those tools that my great-grandfather had, but I don't know what happened to them. I had an adze, that's for making round logs into beams, draw knives, so you take the square and square up the tail post to the datum line, both sheets, that's good. I always turn the wood to where I can become comfortable with it, and I'll show you that right now. When cutting wood, it's important to be comfortable. This is the piece that I was talking about that we're going to cut off. The inboard side, I believe. Yeah, inboard. The first line we're going to do is the bottom line because it's the longest. I said to get comfortable and I did it on the wrong side. I'm right-handed, so you want to cut to the right side. Hold with your left, cut with the right. Be very careful. I've cut my finger pretty bad one time, not paying attention. But just draw it toward you, and I'm going to cut it down through. Holding the knife at a 90 to the work. And that's one cut. Now we're going to cut the nose piece off. You got to be very careful when you come to the exhaust area. There's a step, so you don't want to just slice right on through. You got to stop it where you reposition the ruler, the straight edge. This is a shortcut, 3/8 of an inch, so I'm not going to position the straight edge just for 3/8 of an inch. And that's that's it. Now these two pieces are identical. We're going to run this inboard. So this is the one that gets cut off. Let's see here. Yeah, inboard. Okay, we have the tang on both sides here, right here, but it only needs to be on the inboard side. So on the outboard side, we're going to cut that off. And that's that. Then we'll take the block and clean it up. I just set it down. What happened to it? There it is. Now, I'm going to lay out the doublers. I'm still debating on doublers. Let's go ahead and cut the relief for the elevator. I'll go ahead and pin these together. Try to keep these exact, you know, so they're okay. So now I'm going to cut out for the elevator. If you cut things both at the same time, you have a better chance of having exact copies of each other. I wish I was a professional cameraman and could show you more. Actually, what I need is somebody here to film while I'm doing this, because that's what makes it difficult. If you watch the Millennium Monado build, I did the fuselage in two halves, front and back. I think I'm going to do the same thing on this airplane when I jig it up. I'm going to take the front and the back and separate it. That way, instead of 4 cuts, there's only 2. So we have the elevator area the elevator area cut out. And I'm looking for a piece of sandpaper. Very unorganized today for some reason. I have an oval piece of brass. Here we go. And that allows you to do some real nice sanding. I put a piece of sandpaper on it like such. It allows you to get a nice cut, a nice curve like that. And that should fit the stabilizer perfectly. Now we won't cut the wing outlets until I got this thing together. And I need to cut 1/8 of an inch squarely off the end of this for the nose ring. This model gets 3 degrees out thrust. If you're not a believer in out thrust, I'm sorry. Out thrust works. We'll lay the stations up. I'll cut the bulkheads. I'm going to show you how to make up a mold for that top piece. That'll take longer than the build probably. Now I relieve this 1/8 of an inch so that we can glue a light ply nose ring on there. And that's how I cut up my fuselage sides. We're ready to go. I had already, this was a 4-inch wide piece of 1/8 inch. You get some stringers on the back half of this fuselage so that we can sand it into an oval shape. And it's calling for 3/16. But by looking at the plans, there's only one spot that it needs 3/16. So I'm going to use 1/8 inch, and then between formers number 3 and 4, I'm going to double it. And that's the only place that it needs it. So it'll be 1/4, and I'll sand it to shape. And then once it's sanded to shape on the outside, I'll sand the inside so that the whole shell is only 3/32. Instead of a square box, it'll be an egg. And the sanding of the inside of the airplane, I didn't think really mattered until I did it a few times, and it makes a big difference. Big difference. So I would say we're probably going to work on the crutch next. Because everything is built off the crutch. So I'm going to cut the pieces, get them all ready to go. I'll be back and I'll show you how to do that. So see you in a minute. Okay, it took all day to get the parts cut so I could get this all together. I did mount the flaps, get them ready to go. What I do is I buy 150 popsicle sticks from the hobby store. Real cheap, $2.69. And they are colored, but what are you going to do? And that's what I mix epoxy with. And we're going to mix up some epoxy. Let me put these away so Oh boy. Now I just use 15-minute epoxy. I don't use 2-week epoxy or 30-minute or 60-minute. I just use 5 or 15 on everything that I do. Because I could be wrong, but I don't see the need to have anything more. Mix it 50-50, plenty of epoxy. What I did was I made up the crutch pieces. They're 3/8. I'm changing it up a little. The motor mounts are going to be a little bit longer than what the original Continental did. They're going to tie into the wing, and that helps dampen some of the vibration. These stop right at F2, and I don't like that. So I made a piece of 1/2-inch end grain balsa, the length that I need. We're going to smear the epoxy on there. Try to be as neat as possible. I said that I would do no steps skips, so that's why I'm doing this. I had already marked out the motor engine bearers where the plywood doubler or plywood firewalls go, but we're going to put these in between the firewalls. That's one. We'll mix up the spread epoxy on the other side. And I like using this method instead of gluing the motor mounts to the side of the fuselage and then gluing the firewalls in. And we have a plywood floor. It's a 32nd plywood floor. We're going to epoxy on top of that. So liberal amounts of epoxy on that. This is the only place you want to be liberal. I think we're on day 8. I didn't post day 7. I might not even post today's video because I don't have a whole lot to show. I've been cutting parts and making my kit ready to go. I'll show you that here in a second. Anyway, liberal amount of epoxy on there. Gotta make sure it's everywhere. I want this to be super strong. On icy airplanes, this is what makes or breaks the engine run. The crutch. I have some Craftsman clamps that I use. One at the front end, one at the back end. I'm going to get a paper towel and wipe off any of the excess epoxy. I'm going to stop by my AutoZone and get some more paper towels. And I'll cut the camera. We'll come back in 15 minutes. We're going to put these aluminum engine bearers on there with some small screws to protect the wood. I better check and make sure we have enough distance between the engine bearers still. Oh yeah, I can get 3 degrees in there, no problem. Gotta like engine offset. At least I do. So we'll wait the 15 minutes and I'll be back. So see you in a few.